Another approach here, the pestle, is where you consider the political, that means the subtleties of working with people outside of the process. Economic, social, T, technological, E, environmental, and L, legal. So considering these aspects, does that prompt anything to mind that the college experience helped you with? How about economic? Did you learn anything about money in college?
Just having to move out, forced to learn a lot of things really quickly, managing your money, things like that.
Being independent, I think that's a huge learning opportunity. And one thing is managing a budget. What has to wait? What can I do now? How about the social side? Technology? I mean, your generation, you're born knowing how to use a phone and the computer, I think.
In chemistry classes, I had a lot of technology, computer science stuff, SQL, Python, C++, would have it on there. But maybe other things like tools that we use. We use Git, for project management.
Environmental, legal. How about a different way of looking at it? What things in college did not help you?
The ridiculously high amount of fees. No.
Yeah, exactly. They're expensive. Did you notice any difference between professors that had outside experience versus those without, looking back on the situation?
I would say some of the teaching approaches, I know some professors that had a lot of experience and that were older would tend to skip stuff and teach certain stuff. They'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna skip this chapter, this section, because you're not really gonna be able to use it in the outside world, versus maybe someone who didn't have experience and teaches everything maybe by the book.
I think something also that helps with the professors that did have that experience was that a lot of the times they would use examples from things that maybe they've experienced in the past or seen before. So that just helped put things into perspective and understand it a lot better too.
No one's mentioned internships. Did any of you get a chance to do internships? Yay!
I think I learned a lot more from my internships than I did in how to work in the corporate world instead of actual classes. Classes were more theoretical framework, but internships were where I really learned exactly what expectations are in order to work in certain situations. So for example, for market researching and trend analysis, all of that information is theoretical in class and it's defined as theories and such. But when I had my CDW internship, I had to actually talk to procurement departments and talk to them. What are you guys buying? Why are you guys buying it? Who makes these purchasing decisions? What is the reason you are buying, say, tablets from Samsung instead of Apple? The analysis that come from that conversation are more meaningful and more impactful. Learning about what these trends actually mean versus theoretically learning about the framework in class. Data jobs are the same way because I guess when you're taking specifically data classes, they teach you how to use a software if you start working that you might not immediately or initially know. I guess the level of exposure is higher with internships when it comes to real world.
Right. I feel you're once you have an internship, you're actually in the trenches, you're doing the actual thing. And I feel college is more preparatory for you to be in those trenches. And I feel in college, everything's you have to learn, this is what you have to learn, this is what's going to be on the test. Rather in the real world, it's never, everything's just be there. You have to solve stuff and critically think and think outside the box, or what should I do, or what method, how should I approach this? How do I solve this? Not just the answers X, Y, and Z,
People can't distinguish that universities are not a concrete pathway to a job. It's a in-between to help you learn different things. I think the concept of university has been corporatized to think that, getting a degree means you're getting a job. That's why I feel internship should be more explained, hey, if you're looking for a corporate level job, maybe invest your time and thinking about this material this way instead of theorizing it. Because if you look at classes theoretically, they're really good for grad school, and if you want to be an expert on that subject, but I feel real world experiences come more from the internships than they do from actual classes.
Calls the Active-Passive Map. So this, and I could go look at it this way. It says we have a lot of items here that only have one or two connections. The active path means that these items are driving a lot of other ones, where passive is this is taking all the inputs. Be able to hover over here and it show what that thing is as individual assignments, simulations, applications, team projects. Now, one of the things is these are active. They all have things going out. We don't have very many things connecting into them, but I imagine that if we looked at this now, and it makes sense that individual assignments are very active, but what type of things affect the individual assignments? And maybe it's the experience of the professor, etc. So that would be the next step, is to connect these elements to, one, these here, see if there's any more connections we should make. And two, go through all these little things and see if they should be more connected. Right off the bat, it seemed like team projects. At this point, we would go through and see if we can build those. Like, are there some things that individual assignments affect? Well, what are some things that affect individual assignments and the usefulness of them? And I suppose time management skills, if you don't have those, it's going to affect your ability. Or the better time management skills you have, the better you have to do this. What type of things would influence team projects? Somewhere on here, do we have social skills and teamwork? Skills, just being a nice person. I think team projects would affect, but those skills affect your ability to do the projects. There's probably other things that help with that, like the extracurricular orgs. Also, people self-select, and some people with maybe lesser social skills don't do extracurriculars. Peer influence. I get a lot of, on the peer review feedbacks I get, I ask them about peer leadership, like encouraging one another, even if you're not, quote, in charge. And I see some students are very capable at encouraging others to do their part, where others would say, I'll do it myself. But in the real world, you can't always just do it yourself because of these other things. So those might be some of the things here. Peer leadership, as well as extracurriculars, leadership boss opportunities. Maybe in another session, we can go offline to summarize this and then come back to what we might recommend to universities that they focus on. Because I know your passion was really about these internships. I think that would be a big thing. What are some other things here that you think, hey, this was really important, but it doesn't look on the diagram like it's important?
I want to say leadership opportunities, real world or not. There will be times where you are either taking leadership or have to follow leadership, and understanding what you want out of that person should be important in both situations, so that you're not actively being misled.
I might even relabel this as responsibility, where you're responsible for getting something done, where peer leadership is more the influencing others to have the same goals and to work the same way. With just those few changes there, I wonder what's happened with this active-passive map. There's team projects has moved up. There's individuals. Ooh, what's this one? Extracurricular orgs has moved up. That's another thing. I look for students who have participated in clubs because of some of these things. You learn social skills. You learn a team project. You're trying to accomplish something. The point here, and through several iterations, we'd be able to talk about what are specific things in here. This helps you just put it all down. Now you can talk about, well, that's actually linked to this, or that isn't linked to that, and you can have very specific discussions. Thanks for your participation today, and we'll do some offline work here and do some summary.